It is the middle of winter in the Himalayas. Forests do not grow here. The air is thin enough to sting the lungs. The wind cuts like glass. Sunlight burns cold and hard. Nothing grows tall. Nothing survives without mastery. This is a world of stone and ice. It extends through Nepal and Bhutan, Tibet and Mongolia, and the high foothills of India and Pakistan. He seems calm, still, dead. But even this part of the world is very much alive. Here lurks one of the deadliest predators of the frozen wilderness. This is the snow panther, Panthera uncia, a female. Her fur is a marvel of survival, as thick as a double coat. Each hair is hollow to retain warm air. Each rosette is a disruption in her contour that allows her to disappear among the rocks and frost. Not even the mountain crows circling above her can distinguish her among the shadows. Its feet are wide and padded, like natural snowshoes that distribute its weight so that it barely leaves any marks on the bark. A long, heavy tail flows behind it. It's the same length as its body and acts as a counterweight to the sharp ridges. The season is at its toughest. From December to early spring, prey is scarce. Blue sheep and Himalayan taurs roam the slopes in search of lichens or winter grasses. The leopard must hunt with patience and precision. It moves mainly at dawn and dusk. Shadows provide cover. The thin air carries the smell downhill. Every night she crosses some 15 kilometers of cliffs and scree. She spends her days huddled in a sun-drenched hollow, her tail curled around her snout, her breathing steady and her heart steady. Right now she stops, her ears twitching. Below, a blue sheep tests an ice-covered slope. The hunter collapses in the snow, then a single jump. She travels 20 meters in an arc. Gravity takes it away. The sheep turns and runs, but it's too late. They plunge down together, predator and prey united. One slip would kill them both. His jaws close, a dull noise, a sudden silence. For several days, this slaughter will feed her. As winter deepens, it roams the forests alone, marking the ridges with its scent and leaving a musky foam. However, February brings a subtle change. The air warms slightly. The days lengthen. Mating season begins. Across the valley, another leopard answers its call. A low, harsh meow. These cats are solitary and encounters are rare. For a brief week, they travel together, tails linked in greeting, their rumbling snorts lost in the roar of distant avalanches. Then they separate. The female carries the cubs alone. Spring returns in fits and starts. The snow softens on the southern slopes. The groundhogs are moving. The leopard chooses a secluded den, often a cave hidden behind a veil of fallen rocks, dry and protected from storms. Here she gives birth to 2 tiny cubs, each no heavier than a loaf of bread, their eyes sealed shut and their fur already decorated with ghostly rosettes. For the next 8 weeks, she won't hunt far, surviving on what she hides and small prey she captures nearby. Its long tail wraps the pups in warmth. She licks them constantly. In early summer, the cubs follow her staggering across the high meadows. The world suddenly turns green. Pikas twitter among the flowers and blue sheep graze on the fresh shoots. This is a brief season of plenty. The mother often hunts, bringing back meat. The young learn to stalk insects and pounce on shadows. Every evening he guides them along the ridges. Their legs grow broad and strong. When storms approach, they curl up against his flank, their tails entwined. With the arrival of autumn, the family moves away. The pups are almost grown and their fur is thickening again for the cold. They practice deadly hunting of goats and hares. The mother watches, correcting with a flick of her tail and a soft hiss. By their second winter, the young will wander off on their own. Only then does she fully return to her solitary rhythm. Day after day, her life is a balance of movement and rest, of patience and sudden violence. At dawn, it usually rises to a high perch where updrafts carry the scent of prey. When the sun is high, he seeks the shade of an overhang. At dusk, another patrol, a slow, deliberate zigzag along cliffs and narrow paths marked by centuries of wind. Nights under the stars can reach -30 degrees. However, its dense fur repels the cold as easily as it repels falling snow. Each breath of thin air warms his wide nostrils before reaching his lungs. Threats persist. Wolves prowl the valleys. Grizzly bears assault the lower slopes. He avoids them all, disappearing among the rocks and shadows before the confrontation. Humans have also entered their world. Herders climb higher each year, and sometimes they are forced to hunt a goat when wild prey is scarce. Retaliation can be swift. However, its camouflage and secretive habits keep it hidden. Many who live in these mountains won't even see it, but she is not alone. Others have also managed to master the extreme cold. Let's move on to the Russian Far East. Here, winter rages in the Sikhote-Alin Mountains. The taiga lies silent, cedar and birch trapped in ice, rivers sealed under blue glass plates. Temperatures drop to 40 degrees below zero. Many animals retreat to their dens or flee south. But the Siberian tiger, Panthera tigris altaica, persists. Its coat is pale gold and black. Its stiff, hollow guard hairs trap air pockets, while a dense undercoat retains the warmth of its large body. Beneath that fur lie 300 kilograms of muscle and bone. Its wide, furry, padded legs distribute its weight. Even the thinnest layer of snow holds it soundlessly. The night deepens, and the forest sharpens before her senses. A faint musk of sika deer floats on the wind. She freezes. Her whiskers quiver like antennae. Her pupils dilate. A slow advance, then a burst. 6 meters in a single leap. The claws pierce the skin. A heavy skull delivers a deadly bite to the spine. Silence falls again. A deer, rich in winter fat, can keep her alive for a week. During this season, she may hunt only once every 7 or 8 nights. She drags the carcass under a fallen pine tree, covers it with snow to slow decomposition, and feeds it until she breaks the last bone to obtain marrow. A single female can patrol 400 square miles. It leaves its mark on tree trunks, leaving deep claw marks in the bark and spraying musk. Each sign warns rivals and invites a mate when the season arrives. The patrol never ends. Even on the darkest nights it moves. As autumn fades into the long frost, she fattens on deer and wild boar. This leaves a thick layer of fat underneath their striped coat. By December, he's at his strongest. His heart beats more slowly in the bitter cold, conserving warmth. He rests during the pale hours of the day under wind-felled trees, his tail wrapped over his muzzle and frost coating his whiskers. At dusk he rises again. The end of winter brings a new scent to the forest. A male tiger has entered her habitat, following the trails she marked in the fall. He is immense, measuring almost 4 meters from nose to tail. For several days they travel together, rubbing their flanks against the cedar trunks and emitting low, resonant roars. Their courtship is brief. After mating, he disappears into the trees, leaving her alone once again. Gestation lasts just over 3 months. As the spring light melts the rivers, she seeks a hidden den, a hollow beneath wind-blown roots or a cave in a rocky slope. There, in silence, she gives birth. 3 cubs, each weighing barely a kilo, blind and striped from birth. They snuggle up in its thick fur. For the first 6 weeks, they never stray far. At night, they go hunting and return with meat while dawn is still dim. Their milk is rich in fat. They open their eyes after 10 days. After a month, they crawl to the mouth of the burrow. The forest has softened. Now there is moss under your feet. Streams flow with melt water. But danger surrounds them. Roaming wolves, bears, and even male tigers would kill the cubs if they found them. She remains a constant guard. Summer becomes her classroom. The cubs roll among ferns and damp leaves while she drags fresh prey back to the den. Soon, she leads them into the undergrowth. A flick of a tail demands silence. They crouch beside him as he demonstrates the slow crawl, the stillness before the attack. They learn to read the wind, to feel the tremble of a hoof on the ground. At 3 months, they chew meat with sharp baby teeth. At 6 months old, they are already able to bring down young hares and pheasants on their own. Autumn sharpens their lessons. They follow her over ridges and through rushing rivers, traveling 30 kilometers in one night. She tests them with long marches and hunger. By their second winter, the cubs have almost reached their full size. Now she drives them away. One by one, they disperse through the taiga in search of their own territories. Some travel more than 800 kilometers before finding a home. She remains alone. Each year, her fur thickens as the days get shorter. Her body fills with new fat. She reproduces only every 2 or 3 years, allowing her young to gain independence. In the wild, it can live a decade, sometimes 15 years. Her reign ends only when age curbs her hunting or a stronger rival forces her to step down. Few humans ever see it. Those who track her find only signs, deep claw marks high on cedar trunks, footprints in the fresh snow as wide as a man's outstretched hand, the distant rumble of a roar echoing through frozen valleys. Poachers once brought her species to the brink, but now the protections give him room to endure. Meanwhile, a new dawn, but it's too late. The Russian Far East is covered in snow again. In winter, the sun barely touches the horizon, not far from the Siberian tiger's territory. Beneath the skeletal larch, an elusive predator moves. This is the Amur leopard, Panthera pardus orientalis. It's the rarest big cat on Earth. Fewer than 200 remain in the wild. Its fur is thick, pale gold and grows to almost 3 inches. Each hair is hollow to retain heat. The rosettes blur their outlines against the frost-silvered undergrowth. He digs his wide paws into the powder snow. His soft pads distribute his weight, leaving barely a footprint. The night is his ally. He hunts while the moon burns coldly over the hills of Sikote Alin. A roe deer approaches, grazing on the frosty tips of the willows. The leopard crushes itself against a wind-fallen log. She waits. The heartbeat slows down. The muscles curl up. A single spring, 5 meters through the brittle air, and the deer falls under a deadly bite to the throat. It feeds quickly. Its prey can feed it for days, but it drags what's left into a dense thicket, covering it with snow and leaves. Once the hunt is over, it goes about its daily routine in its kingdom. Its territory extends over more than 100 square kilometers. She stops before a leaning cedar tree. He stands on his hind legs, and it leaves deep scars on the bark. The scent glands on its paws send a message to its rivals. This territory is occupied. Along the rocky outcrops, it sprays musk. No other leopard dares to stop. At dawn, it retreats to a hollow among the rocks. There it sleeps, coiled body, tail wrapped around his nose. For hours, the forest remains silent. Jays call, a squirrel scolds, but nothing disturbs the leopard. Only when the sky turns indigo does she rise and move again. Winter is her season of power. Prey is concentrated in sheltered valleys. At the end of February, another scent floats on the wind, a male. She responds with a low, raspy call. When he appears, his courtship is brief. They rub their flanks against tree trunks, their guttural roars muffled by the snow. For a few days, they travel together, sharing prey and trails. Then, as suddenly as he arrived, the male melts back into the trees. The female resumes her solitary life. Gestation lasts 3 months. Spring softens the earth as the larch buds swell and the streams part. She seeks a secluded den, a crevice in a limestone cliff. There she gives birth to 2 cubs, each no heavier than a loaf of bread. Blind, helpless, they snuggle in its warmth. During the first few weeks, he hardly goes out. At night, she sneaks out to hunt and returns before dawn with meat. Her milk is rich and nutritious, and her tongue cleanses the cubs of odors that could give them away to wolves, eagles, or even other leopards. They open their eyes after 10 days, blue at the beginning, then it deepens until reaching the golden. Within a month, they stagger to the mouth of the den. When summer arrives, the forest thickens into a green maze. The cubs follow her through fern-strewn valleys. She teaches them to stop when the wind changes direction, to place each paw silently, to climb sloping trunks, and to wait with the patience of a stone. They pounce on the grasshoppers, then hares. By autumn, their markings darken, matching the reddish color of the leaves. They follow her on long hunts for sika deer and badgers, sometimes traveling 20 kilometers in a single night. The cubs are almost their size, sleek and strong, but still dependent on their prey. When the frost returns, she begins to chase it away. One by one, they leave her territory, destined to forge their own paths through the vast forests of the Amur basin. She is left alone once again. A typical winter day begins before nightfall. She rises from her thicket, shakes the snow from her fur, and listens. A distant crunch, a hoof on ice, sends her tumbling down an icy ravine. She lurks for hours, an explosion of speed, a jump, and another life is taken to sustain his own. She feeds, mark your ground, disappears into the darkness. Here's how it goes, night after night, year after year. Miles away, the frozen wilderness of Siberia and Alaska seems dead at first glance. The tundra lies silent under a blanket of snow. The air is brittle, the wind sweeps away the white infinity. The snow falls in long ribbons that blur the horizon of the sky. Here, a pack of grey wolves, Canis lupus, wakes up at dawn. A wolf alone is fragile. Together, they are powerful. And winter is their dominant season. The pack wakes up at dawn. 12 wolves rise from their shallow beds. Their coats are thick, double layer, grey, black and cream. Each hair traps warmth against the biting wind. Wide snowshoe-like paws dig into the bark. Frost clings to whiskers. Tails curl around muzzles. They shake off the cold. The alpha pair leads the way. Elbow to elbow, they set the pace. Behind them, younger wolves run, following in the footsteps of their elders. The calves born the previous spring, now lanky and young, struggle to keep pace. The herd moves in unison. Today they hunt. Winter prey is scarce. A herd of caribou moves across the tundra. Wolves lower their heads to the snow. The nostrils widen. A faint musk floats in the wind. They spin as one. The hours pass. Wolves are endurance hunters. They are not made for ambush, but for pursuit. Their hearts pound. Their lungs breathe in icy air. Their muscles tirelessly trot mile after mile. The caribou finally appear. The wolves quicken their pace, their gazes fixed and their ears forward. Then the chase breaks out. Snow explodes under the pounding hooves. The caribou advance at full speed across the plain. The wolves fan out, flanking, forming circles. The scouts push through to cut off their escape, while the strongest ones push the herd into rough terrain. A young caribou stumbles. The wolves seize the opportunity. The alpha female lunges, baring her teeth. In a matter of seconds, the pack is upon us. The slaughter is swift. They feed together, their snouts tinged red. The cubs are allowed to choose first, then the males, then the rest. When the carcass is stripped, the bones broken for marrow, they rest in the snow, their bellies full and breathing heavily. But winter is more than hunting. It is also the season of rivalry. Other herds roam these valleys. Borders must be defended. At dusk, the alpha male raises his head and howls. The sound echoes like thunder across the tundra, echoed by the voices of their brethren. In the distance, another pack responds. For now, the distance is safe. As the long night falls, the wolves take refuge among the fir trees. They huddle together, sharing warmth. His year turns with the seasons. Spring brings the thaw, frozen rivers roar freely, and the earth softens beneath new vegetation. The alpha female teems with life. She seeks a hidden den, perhaps a hollow beneath tree roots or the shelter of a rocky outcrop. There, far from the noise of the pack, she gives birth. 5 tiny cubs, blind and deaf, crawl through its fur. For 3 weeks, he doesn't leave them. His mate and pack-mates bring him food. Days later, the pups open their eyes. They waddle into the sunlight, their ears oversized and their tails clumsy. The pack gathers around them, guardians and teachers. The puppies become playmates, pulling each other's ears and snouts. Adults bring back morsels of meat. At first, they explore a few meters from the den. In midsummer, they undertake short patrols. In autumn, they enthusiastically join the hunt. Summer brings moose and hare, bison in autumn, caribou in winter, and elk. Every dam teaches a lesson. They learn to interpret the trembling of hooves on the ground, to steer their pursuit towards swamps or ravines, and to attack as a team. Success means life. Failure brings hunger. By their second year, the young are strong enough to reproduce. Some will remain, others will disperse, traveling hundreds of miles in search of mates and new territories. Their journey is dangerous, rival packs, hunger, humanity. Many don't survive, but those who do perpetuate the lineage. Their double coat protects them from freezing. Their broad legs extend like snowshoes. Their shoulder and hip muscles propel them to cover 65 kilometers in a single day. Their sense of smell detects odors 10 kilometers away. Their howls unite the pack. The wolf is not a solitary wanderer. Its strength lies in the family unit. Alphas lead, but each member plays a role: scouts, guardians, hunters, or masters. This cooperation is their ultimate adaptation, allowing them to take down prey much larger than themselves and endure winters that would starve a lone predator. As winter approaches the tundra, again the wolves are ready. Further north, the night never really sleeps. This is the heart of the boreal forest. The earth rests under a sky streaked with green aurora. Here, close to the ground, broad shoulders, thick fur like winter skin, the wolverine, gulo, moves. He is a creature made for adversity. Miles of snow, intense cold. Alone, unstoppable, he prowls the silent world. Dawn casts a faint light over the tundra. The wolverine emerges from his den beneath a fallen fir tree. Frost covers his whiskers. Each paw is as wide as a human hand, fringed with curved claws that dig into the ice. The creature moves with a waddling gait, half bear, half weasel, its muscles coiled beneath a shaggy chocolate-brown coat with golden stripes. The air bites at -30 degrees Fahrenheit, but the wolverine's fur is the perfect insulation. The greasy guard hairs release frost, trapping heat close to the skin. He travels 48 kilometers or more before nightfall. Snowshoes of skin and bone distribute his weight. His keen nose tests the wind. Somewhere a caribou has fallen. A lynx has hidden a kill. The wolverine doesn't waste energy chasing shadows. Follow the smell, weak as breath for hours. Further ahead is a frozen river. The wolverine skims the ice, its claws gripping the slippery surfaces and its tail lowered for balance. Crows circle in the grey sky. Under a leaning pine, the stiff body of a young moose lies half buried in the snow. Wolves brought it down days ago, but it's gone now. The glutton doesn't waste time. Steel-like jaws bite through frozen skin and tendons. He stuffs himself. But he is not a simple scavenger. When prey is scarce, the wolverine hunts. Days later, on a similar patrol, he catches a snowshoe hare that darts out of a thicket. The wolverine launches itself with explosive force, covering 5 meters in an instant. The hare disappears in a cloud of dust. Silence returns. As the pale sun sets, the wolverine seeks shelter. He hides in a pile of packed snow and twigs. There he rests, curled up in his own warmth. But the night is not peaceful. On the other side of the frozen forest, a female begins her most secret task. Deep in a labyrinth of tunnels under the snow, she gives birth to her young. 2. Each one is no heavier than a pineapple. Blind, helpless, they squeal in the darkness, finding the warmth of their bellies. For weeks at a time, she rarely leaves. Her milk is rich and nourishes the little hearts through the long Arctic night. When hunger forces her out, she strays far, always returning to the hidden nursery. In late spring, when the snow begins to rot, the young crawl toward the light. Their coats are soft, large legs. The father is not around. Wolverines are loners. Males roam vast territories up to 500 square kilometers and mark them with scent glands and the deep rubbing of their claws on tree bark. They only seek companionship during the short summer, mating with several females during the tundra flowering season. But the female delays her pregnancy. This is called delayed implantation. The fertilized eggs wait in her body until winter sets in and the days get shorter. Only then do they settle in the uterus, ensuring that the birth occurs when the snow hides their lair and there are fewer predators. Summer transforms the glutton's world. Rivers swell with meltwater. The forests are full of moss and berries. Caribou herds are moving rapidly north. Puppies get bold. They follow their mother over granite ridges and alpine meadows, learning to climb, dig, and sniff out carrion from miles away. She teaches them how to store food, dragging it into tree forks or burying it under rocks where the cold preserves it. In autumn, the young are almost adults. They playfully spar, testing the strength of their jaws and the agility of their legs. Soon they will set off, each alone, to forge a kingdom in the snow. Their mother drives them away with sudden ferocity, and so winter returns. Storms bury the earth. Elk and deer are weakening. Some fall to the cold or to the wolves. The glutton prospers. Feel death from incredible distances. It opens frozen carcasses that other predators cannot pierce. Raids kill wolves. Even a bear will give in to his fury. By the time the northern lights flicker again, last year's offspring have already dispersed. One heads west toward the coast, crossing icy rivers and mountain escarpments in search of an uninhabited area. Another moves east, disappearing into the taiga. Each will travel hundreds of miles before finding a place to claim. Many will fall from hunger or from the weapons of humans, but some will endure. From the larch forests of Siberia to the white plains of Alaska, from the fjords of Scandinavia to the peaks of the Yukon, the story is the same. Meanwhile, the Eurasian forests are quietly awakening. Snow muffles every sound beneath a cathedral of pines and birches. A shadow slips between the trees, pale as winter light. There are still hours left until dawn, but the Eurasian lynx begins its stalk. Its muscles ripple beneath a coat of silver and gold. Its ears, covered with black tufts, lean forward, reading the silence like a book. Its paws are wide and covered with fur to distribute its weight on the hardened snow. It hardly leaves a trace. Her whiskers brush the branches, sensing the slightest vibration in the air. Her enormous amber eyes pierce the darkness. They gather the moonlight, giving the cat night vision 6 times stronger than ours. Hunger drives her forward. A roe deer grazes in a frozen clearing. The lynx lowers its body. His tail twitches once in concentration. She measures the wind. Then she flows through the snow, silent, unstoppable. 10 meters away, she curls her hind legs, leaps and lands on the deer's neck. A single bite to the throat. The forest returns to silence. She feeds quickly, drag the carcass under a bush to hide it from scavengers. It will last its days. His life is lonely. It ranges across 200 square kilometers, marking trees with scent glands and sharp claws. Each scratch warns rivals and guides potential mates. Its diurnal rhythm rarely changes. It hunts at dusk and dawn, rests during the day, and patrols at night. In February, the males are already in complete freedom. Their calls echo through the frozen forest. The female responds with brief barks. Upon meeting, they circle, sniff each other, and rub their heads against each other's flanks. They remain together for 3 or 4 days, mating frequently. Then the male leaves and the forest swallows his tracks. Spring loosens the snow. Under a fallen fir tree, the female seeks a hollow log. She covers it with moss and dry grass. After a gestation of about 70 days, she gives birth. 3 kittens, each with just a handful of fur, their eyes closed to the world. Its mottled coat blends with the mottled forest floor. The mother rarely strays far. She sneaks out at night to hunt rabbits and grouse, returning before dawn. Her milk is rich and nourishes the young as they grow. After 10 days, they open their eyes. After 5 weeks, they stumble out of the burrow. She watches, ears twitching as they chase beetles and stalk falling leaves. Summer thickens the forest. Sunlight filters through a green roof. Kittens follow their mother on silent patrols. She teaches them to crawl, to stop suddenly, to accelerate suddenly. They learn to climb trees to escape wolves and bears. In autumn, their fur darkens and becomes thicker. They weigh almost 15 kilograms. As the days shorten, the young hunt alone for the first time. They pounce on field mice, scare birds from the undergrowth, and even attempt to catch a young hare. And then winter returns. Their mother guides them through deep snowdrifts. She shows them the secret routes of her territory. But for the next mating season, he drives them away with loud growls and swipes. Each one disperses, traveling hundreds of miles in search of free territory. Back home, he hunts at dusk, when the deer venture into open country. She rests until noon, hidden in a tangle of roots or rocks, breathing slowly and steadily as the sunlight shines on the icy branches. At night, it moves again, sometimes covering 20 kilometers before dawn. Its heart beats weakly, conserving heat. It may fast for days if the hunt fails. It also renews its scent markings every few days, digging its claws into the bark and spraying urine at trail crossings. These messages tell intruders their sex, age, and status. Males patrol even larger areas, sometimes overlapping with several females, but direct conflicts are rare. When food is scarce, the lynx displays remarkable adaptability. It stores leftovers under snow or leaves and returns night after night, moves from deer to smaller prey. Hares, complaint, even foxes. Powerful jaws crush bones to obtain hidden marrow. The seasons change again. Snow falls silently across eastern Russia, the Carpathians, the Alps, and the forests of Scandinavia. The lynx is moving everywhere. It's the whisper of its padded paws on an icy path. Its now 1-year-old cubs forge their own secret trails in the distance. As winter deepens, the male's call echoes through the trees again. The cycle begins again. Hunt, buddy, increase, release. Meanwhile, the boreal forest remains silent. Buried under a heavy blanket of snow, dawn breaks silently. Frosted fir trees rise like frozen needles. A single set of prints marks the infinite white, broad round, soft-edged. They belong to the Canadian lynx, Lynx canadensis. Thick fur covers their silvery grey bodies with faint markings. Their legs are long, designed for deep snow. Each leg is like a snowshoe, with fur that spreads out to keep it afloat where heavier creatures sink. The night stretches on into the morning. The lynx prefers these dark hours when the shadows lengthen and its prey awakens. Its amber eyes absorb the gloom. Its ears, tipped with black tufts, move with every rustle. It stops, listening. Beneath the snow, a heartbeat quickens. A field mouse escapes under a layer of ice. I'm not interested. Their true purpose is harder to see. The snowshoe hare. It leaves faint white-on-white tracks that disappear into thickets of willow and alder. As the hare population rises and falls in a 10-year cycle, so does the lynx population. When hares are abundant, females raise more young. When the hare population declines, only the strongest lynxes survive. The lynx walks silently among the trees. He stops at a bend where the branches arch. Hares use those tunnels. He lowers his body, his tail tip motionless and his muscles tense. Minutes pass. A white blur emerges from the undergrowth. He launches himself forward. 2 jumps and he lands squarely, his jaws closing on his neck. A clean death. Fast, silent. He drags the hare under a fallen tree trunk. The food will give him strength to get through the cold hours. In winter, he hunts twice a day, at dusk and before dawn, conserving energy when the sun is high and the air is frigid. Between hunts, he huddles in a sheltered hollow, tail wrapped around his nose, legs tucked under the chest, body heat sealed within the dense fur. At the end of winter, a new urgency arises. Mating season begins. The males wander far and wide, leaving pungent scent marks on the trees. Their calls echo in the frozen forest. A short, harsh wail. She responds in kind. When a male finds her, they fly in cautious circles, sniffing and rubbing against her. For 3 days, they stay together and mate frequently. When he leaves, she returns to solitude. Spring softens the earth. The snow melts, forming dark soil and crystal-clear streams. After 60 days, she seeks a den, a tangle of roots, a space hidden from the prowling owls and bears. There she gives birth to 3 tiny kittens, their eyes closed and ears folded. Each one is barely the size of a human hand. His fur is already thick, dotted with faint spots. They hunt tirelessly, sneaking out at dusk to bring back hares, grouse, and the occasional squirrel. The kittens feed on rich milk, doubling their weight in a matter of weeks. At 1 month, their eyes glow blue and then turn amber. They stagger away from the den. Clumsy legs test the world. She watches every step. His ears spin at the slightest sound. Summer brings with it a frenzy of life. Mosquitoes swarm. The willows burst with greenery. Kittens become bold, stalking insects and pouncing on leaves. Their mother teaches them to ambush, crouch frozen, pounce silently, bite hard. At the beginning of autumn, they follow her through the forest. As the days grow shorter, their coats thicken and turn pale. Their mother's fur turns almost white. By the first snowfall, the kittens are half-grown, thin and swift. She guides them across frozen rivers, showing them hidden paths through the bushes where hares lurk. His lessons are relentless. Stalk strike, disappear. Only those who master them will live. By their first winter, the cubs are almost ready to leave. Their behavior changes. They feed them less and growl when they get too close. One cold dawn, they slip away. Instinct drives them to separate, each to claim a patch of forest. They are built to survive. Their long hind legs propel them in sudden bursts of speed, reaching 8 meters in a single bound. Fur grows between their toes, insulating them from the snow and giving them grip on icy surfaces. Their ear tufts act like antennae, picking up the slightest whisper of a moving hair. The nose, wide and lined with blood vessels, warms the air before it reaches the lungs. These cats can withstand temperatures below -40 degrees Celsius. Alone again, the female's daily rhythm doesn't waver. She hunts at dusk. She rests during daylight hours. She grooms her dense fur to keep it free of ice. She marks boundaries with her scent to warn off rivals. Even in the darkest months, she travels up to 15 kilometers a night. When prey is scarce, she saves the leftovers, and then he covers them with snow to come back another day. Predators share their world, wolves, coyotes, and even great horned owls. She avoids them all, gliding like smoke between the fir trees and the shade. If cornered, she climbs swiftly, digging her claws into the bark, or charges with her powerful front paws, hissing and with her ears flattened. The years change like the seasons. Some winters are rich in hares, others bring famine. Today, dusk falls again on the northern forest. The lynx moves again. Somewhere ahead, a hare is moving. The hunt begins again, meanwhile in the North American undergrowth. The night covers the forest and the field. A pale moon rises, silence everywhere, broken only by the sound of the wind, the distant howl. But a predator glides through the night in absolute silence, small in stature, but fierce, elusive, cautious, built to kill. The bobcat, Lynx rufus. This small cousin of the lynx glides through a tangle of cedars and oaks. Its fur is a patchwork of reddish-brown hues and dark rosettes, blending with the shadowy grass and rocks. Its short tail twitches vigorously. Its tip is black. His furry ears rotate, picking up whispers of sound. One step, and it disappears. Lynxes prefer the hours between dusk and dawn. Their prey is awake, and the fresh air masks its scent. They pause, listen, and plan. The forest floor reveals its secrets. The hop of a rabbit, the footsteps of a deer, the light rustle of a mouse under the dry leaves. Wide and golden, her eyes capture every glimmer of moonlight. His nose inhales the scent of warm fur. A cottontail rabbit grazes near a fallen log. The bobcat crouches, its belly scraping the ground, its muscles tense. One last silent leap and it attacks. The rabbit doesn't see it. A quick bite to the neck ends the chase. It drags its prey into the brush, devouring it quickly. Such a small dam provides fuel to get through the cold night, although it can also carry larger animals. During the long hours before dawn, it hunts and patrols. Its territory stretches for 10 square kilometers, a maze of ridges, thickets, and stream beds. It marks it with urine and claw marks on tree trunks, messages that warn its rivals. Other lynxes pass by, but they rarely stay. Solitude is safer. Conflict wastes precious energy. At dawn, she retires. She curls up under a rocky ledge or inside a hollow log, her tail perched on her nose. The autumn sun warms the forest, but she sleeps, twitching her ears at the sound of insects buzzing. Only the scent of danger, a lurking coyote or the shadow of an eagle can wake her. In autumn, the forest is filled with aroma. The leaves fall, revealing the trails of deer and hares. This is her dominant season. Prey is abundant, and the fresh air helps her stay stealthy. Winter brings a sharper edge. Snow falls in the northern mountain ranges, and food becomes scarce. Their dense fur becomes thicker, softer, and layered to trap heat. Fur grows between his toes. He hunts more boldly, capturing hares that leave bright tracks on the white. In late winter, mating season begins. The female raises her chin and meows into the cold night, a call that can be heard throughout the forest and the canyon. The males respond with their own harsh cries. A suitor approaches, circling with low growls. For days they remain close, rubbing faces and intertwining tails. They mate and then part. Spring softens the soil. The female seeks a hidden den, an old badger burrow. She covers it with dry leaves and moss. After about 60 days, she gives birth to a litter of 4 babies, blind, helpless, ears folded, furs wispy. The forest turns green as her kittens grow. She comes out only at night, searching for and bringing back mice, rabbits, and the occasional bird. The milk flows rich and warm. After 10 days, the kittens open their eyes, blue. At 5 weeks, they wobble out of the burrow, tripping over roots and swatting at insects. She watches every step. Coyotes, owls, and snakes prowl nearby. One mistake could kill them. When summer comes, he teaches them to stalk, freeze when a twig breaks, jump with sudden speed. They chase grasshoppers and practice pouncing on their tails. In early autumn, they follow her on night hunts, discovering the forest's secret paths. She offers them a half-eaten rabbit, allowing them to taste the blood and muscle. Their skills sharpen with each moonrise. As kittens approach their first winter, their behavior changes. It growls when they crowd together to hunt. It growls when they get too close. Independence is near. One cool evening, it slips away. The young scatter, each to claim a patch of forest. They are built for success in the solitary life. Its powerful hind legs propel it in leaps of up to 3 meters in length. Her retractable claws remain razor-sharp, hidden until the attack. Her whiskers fan out, sensing air currents in the darkness. Her ear tufts function like antennae, detecting the faint rustle of a field mouse beneath the snow. She is a shadow athlete. Its daily rhythm remains constant throughout the year, hunting at dusk, midday break, silent patrols under the stars. It travels up to 12 kilometers in a single night, dodging thorns and rocks, swimming across rivers if necessary. Where the suburbs blur with the forest border, it glides through drainage ditches and hunts in vacant lots. Rats, squirrels, pigeons, The years change. Every fall she seeks a mate. Every spring she raises a new litter. Some seasons bring bounty, hares and rabbits in abundance, fat, strong kittens. Other years are harsh and only one kitten survives. Despite everything, she remains lonely. At that precise moment, a fawn searches for grass beneath the snow. It crouches, its muscles tense, its breathing drops to a whisper. Each step is a silent glide, its paws spread to muffle the sound. The fawn raises its head. Its ears twitch. The bobcat freezes. Only his eyes move. A gust carries away her scent. The fawn bends again, scratching the snow for hidden shoots. It inches closer, one paw at a time. It flicks its tail once, then stops. 10 meters. 6. 10. Then the final charge. It takes off from the dead grass. The snow flies in a silver spray. The fawn bolts, its hooves searching for a foothold. The bobcat launches itself, its hind legs springing forward. It lands on the fawn's flank, its claws digging deep. They collapse in a rippling hiss of snow and fur. A quick bite to the neck. The fight ends. Meanwhile, dawn breaks over the scrubland of southern Spain. A pale light caresses the rolling hills of Doñana and Sierra Morena. The dry grass trembles in the winter chill. A shadow moves low between the rosemary and the rock rose. This is the Iberian lynx, Lynx pardinus, the rarest of all wild cats. Only a few hundred survive. Yet here at this quiet hour, a woman begins her day. She emerges from a thicket of cork oaks, her paws silent on the sandy earth. Her fur gleams with shades of gold and amber, punctuated by dark rosettes that fragment her figure into fragments of light and shadow. A short tail with a black and trembling tip reveals its only movement. Her high ears, crowned with inky tufts, twirl with each rustle. Rabbits are her lifeblood. No other prey can sustain her through the harsh winter. She stops, lifting her nose. The scent of fur floats on the breeze. She glides forward, muscles tensing. Further ahead, a European rabbit grazes near a clump of thyme. The lynx crouches, its belly scraping the ground. A burst of strength. Its hind legs propel it forward like a spring. The rabbit lunges, but it's faster. A flash of claws, a quick bite to the neck. Silence returns. This is its rhythm. It hunts at dawn and again at dusk. Rest when the sun is high and the heat spreads through the bush. It claims a territory of 10 square kilometers, a mosaic of dunes, swamps, and lowland forest. It marks its boundaries with urine and droppings, leaving stern warnings for its rivals. At midday, it retreats to a hidden den, an abandoned rabbit burrow. Here she sleeps. Lizards sun themselves on warm stones and red kites flit through the air. The lynx remains hidden. Winter is its season of urgency. The air is cold, but mating season has arrived. Its body fills with hormones. Its howls echo in the hills. A male answers, his call deeper, echoing throughout the valley. He approaches cautiously, his nose twitching at the scent of her. For days they shadow each other, rubbing cheeks and exchanging soft growls. When the time comes, they mate beneath the bare branches. By dawn, he's gone. Weeks go by. The rain falls, tearing a new green from the dusty soil. She seeks a den, a cradle for the next generation. A tangle of roots under a juniper tree. She lines it with dried grasses and rabbit fur. After 2 months, she gives birth to 3 kittens, blind and spotted, with their ears folded tightly. Her screams are weak. Now her world is reduced to a single purpose. She hunts and brings rabbits back to the burrow every night. The milk flows rich and warm. The kittens snuggle up close, opening their eyes after 10 days in the dim light of their burrow. At 5 weeks, they come out. She protects them with relentless vigilance. Eagles soar overhead. Foxes and mongooses prowl. A careless move could cost a life. Spring colors the land with flowers. Kittens grow bold, stalking grasshoppers, pouncing on their quivering tails. By summer, they follow her on nightly hunts. She shares her deaths. Then he gives them a little push to catch theirs. Autumn brings changes. The kittens are almost grown. Their coats are thick and pink. The mother's attitude hardens. She growls when they approach her prey, hisses when they stay near the burrow. Independence is near. One evening she sneaks away into the night, never to return. The cubs disperse. They must. Each one seeks its own territory. Some will travel many kilometers, crossing roads and farmland. The Iberian lynx lives in a fragile world. Rabbits carry the deadly shadow of disease, myxomatosis and hemorrhagic fever. These diseases can wipe out entire populations. However, without rabbits, the lynx starves. Their habitat is also shrinking, cut off by roads and fences and fractured by farms. Conservationists are working tirelessly. Breeding programs, rabbit reintroductions, and wildlife corridors that crisscross towns and roads. The numbers are slowly increasing. Still, the danger remains. Night falls on a frozen plain. The wind dies. The stars are sharpening. A full moon is low. The snow lies untouched. A huge sheet of whitish-blue glass. The air contains the brittle smell of ice and pine sap. The spruces and firs are heavy with frost. The trail of a fox is drawn on the mounds. Somewhere under the bark, a mouse is digging a tunnel. Beyond the trees, the plain stretches towards a frozen river. From the black edge of a spruce forest, two amber discs glow. The great horned owl, Bubo virginianus, is awake. Its broad wings are folded against the cold. Its ear tufts are raised like watchful sentinels. It is made for the darkness. She waits on a pine branch, perfectly still. Its feathers blend perfectly with the bark and the shadow. Below, a mouse rustles in the dry grass. The sound carries in the icy air. Its facial disc is a living radar, channeling every slight touch toward its ears, asymmetrically positioned on its skull. One ear higher, one more down. This tiny lag tells him the exact distance and direction. He tilts his head, listening. The world is mapped in sound. A single beat of enormous wings. Silence follows. The soft flight feathers break the air without a whisper. She falls like falling snow, claws extended, longer than a grizzly bear's, crushing like a steel trap. The mouse never knows. It swallows it whole, head, fur and bone, to be melted into a neat little grey ball. This nocturnal rhythm drives its life. It hunts, feeds, rests, and patrols. His yellow eyes see what others can't. Its light-gathering power is 5 times greater than ours. By day it blends into the forest, its horned ears blending in with the broken branches. It needs no nest of its own, old falcon platforms, abandoned crow buildings, even the cracked canopy of a torn tree will do. Winter is its season of urgency. While most birds wait for spring, she claims her territory when the world is at its coldest. In December he starts calling. The sound echoes like distant thunder, a low 5-note hoot that can travel for miles through the snow. A male responds, his voice lower, echoing through the icy wood. They stand in the moonlight, brushing beaks, exchanging soft laughs. At the end of January, they become a couple for life. Together, they defend a hunting ground that can extend over a square mile. They drive off their rivals with ferocious charges and clashing talons. Red foxes, raccoons, and even other birds of prey scatter before their onslaught. The great horned owl fears nothing. Only the eagle rivals his dominion. The eggs arrive while the snow is still deep, too, placed in the bitter heart of February. The female perches on them, her feathers ruffled and her wings curled like a living blanket. Temperatures drop considerably below freezing, but her body retains constant warmth. The male hunts tirelessly, bringing rabbits, squirrels, and ducks to the nest each night. After a month, the eggs hatch. The fuzzy chicks wriggle under the shelter of their mother, sealed eyes, little peaks clicking. He feeds them scraps of warm prey. For 2 weeks they remain inseparable, trusting the male to provide every meal. In March, they open their eyes to a world of melting snow and lengthening light. They grow rapidly. Within a few weeks, they are covered in soft grey feathers. Parents hunt tirelessly. Each night they can kill half their own weight to keep their chicks alive. Rabbits, voles, skunks, and even other owls swoop in during their silent flight. Their talons can crush the spines of prey larger than themselves. They strike with a force of 90 kilograms, enough to kill on impact. By April, the young begin to leave the nest, climbing branches with their clumsy wings. This is known as branching. They test their muscles with short, flapping jumps, risking falling to the forest floor. The parents protect them fiercely, attacking foxes, marthas, even humans who get too close. At dusk, the family calls to each other with soft hoots, their voices carried through the budding trees. The spring warmth accelerates their training. In early May, they take their first real flight. The forest becomes their classroom. They follow their parents in the darkness. Every night his wings grow stronger and his blows more sure. By midsummer, they are skilled hunters, ready to carve out their own territories. Adults remain together year-round. Their bond lasts beyond the breeding season. Day after day, they patrol their habitat. The alliance can last for decades. Their lives follow the cycle of night and season, hunting in the deep hours, rest in the shade of daylight, cut in the heart of winter. Raise your children while the snow melts. Summer brings longer days, but their nocturnal pattern never changes. They sleep during the golden hours, their eyes squinting against the sun and their wings spread to cool off. At dusk, they wake, stretching out their feathers, shaking off the heat. Autumn arrives with its crimson leaves. Young owls disperse and travel for miles to claim their own territories. Some cross mountains and rivers before settling. Many don't survive the first year, but those that do mate and claim territory when the snow returns. For now, a new dawn creeps over the frozen plain. The stars fade reluctantly, one after another, until only a pale moon remains above the line of fir trees. Then the east begins to shine. High above the valley floor, a black crag rises into the sky. Frost forms a crust on its cornices. From that irregular perch, a figure moves. The wide, folded wings catch the first glimmer of dawn. A golden eagle, Aquila crisitos, raises its head. Its amber eyes scan the bleached expanse. It stretches once. The cold air whispers over its bronze plumage, each barb polished by weeks of wind and snow. A brief jolt sends a jet of frost into the abyss. She takes a step forward, her claws scraping the stone. A measured leap and she's gone. She spreads her wings and lets the thermal updrafts do their work. No frantic flapping, an effortless glide. The cliff recedes behind her, the plain unfolds before her, a vast white parchment inked with black spruce. The winding curve of a frozen river. At 150 meters high, he sees the gentle trembling of a willow branch where a snowshoe hare is nibbling at the bark. A shred of grass escapes from a vole burrowing beneath the bark. Even the slight movement of a ptarmigan remains etched in his mind. Every detail is precise, exact. It circles once and twice, angling with the tilt of a single primary feather. Then it ascends, riding a column of rising air until the valley narrows. Below, the hare trots toward the shelter of a dwarf birch. It watches, timing, letting the distance close. A sudden fold of wings, a hardening of the body, and she falls. The fall is pure speed. The air whips against his face as he descends. The ground rises. In the last beat, he spreads his wings and breaks, but his claws don't waver. They sink into the snow and flesh. The hare convulses once, silence again. She gets up with her prize. In its wake, drifts of snow pile up, glittering like broken glass in the intense sunlight. It flies back to the crag, landing with a flurry of feathers and a final triumphant snap of its beak. The kill is swift and efficient. By mid-morning, the sun has already risen higher. She feeds deliberately, to shed skin, crunching of small bones, putting fragments into the woven sticks of the nest. Her mate will return soon. They will bond forever, and together they will guard this nest of twisted branches and ancient bones. The nest is built over decades. and expands each spring until it reaches the height of a man. When hunger subsides, she rises again. No hunting, but for patrolling. Territory is survival. Her eyes scan miles of tundra and forest edge, memorizing every contour, the sign of every rival. Crows dare to follow her, hoping for crumbs. She ignores them. The afternoon fades into the pale light of dusk. She rides the thermals one last time, feeling the warmth of the day seep back into the earth. The sun slips behind the western hills, spilling copper through the clouds. The wind dies down. The first star awakens with a flash. It circles again, then heads toward the crag. In late winter, it is more than a solitary hunter. This couple has shared the same cliff for years. Golden eagles renew their bond each season with a courtship dance in the sky. When the sun shines brightest and the river ice begins to break, she and her mate circle above the valley, interlocking their talons and spiraling down in a breathtaking plunge. They add to their nest every year, weaving fresh spruce and willow into the antique frame. In early April, she will lay 2 pale eggs on the dry grass. Both parents guard them fiercely, swapping duties as the sun moves across the sky. For 45 cold days, they incubate, protecting the fragile shells from the snow and sudden gales with their wings. When the chicks are released, they are blind and covered with white down. The male ranges farther, bringing hares, grouse, and even carrion back to the nest. He tears the prey to shreds, slipping morsels into their open beaks. Weeks pass. The feathers stiffen. The chicks become restless. By midsummer, they approach the edge, testing new wings against the updraft. One by one, they launch themselves. Uncomfortable at first, so strong. The parents follow each flight, guiding, coaxing, teaching them sweeping turns and sudden dives. By the time the first frosts return, the young have already left for their territories. The pair's nest is empty again. Meanwhile, the Arctic dawn arrives without a dawn. A pale glow spreads over the endless snow. The horizon blurs in the sky. From a wind-carved ridge of ice, a white figure raises its head. This is the snowy owl, Bubo scandiacus. Each thick, soft feather is lined with insulating layers and trimmed with fine down that muffles the beating of its wings. Even in winds as low as -40 degrees, it stays warm. Its face forms a perfect plate, channeling the slightest sound toward the ears hidden beneath the feathers. The day begins with almost constant light, but darkness never fully falls. Beneath the snow, a lemming makes its way through a tunnel of ice crystals. The owl tilts its head, aiming for it precisely. A sudden leap, then a dive. Its talons slice through the hardened snow. It emerges with a prey-like screech. During the breeding season, she can carry more than a dozen lemmings a day to feed her young. When they are abundant, she hunts near the chosen nest. When they disappear, she travels for miles, flying over the tundra in a relentless search. Snowy owls are diurnal here, active during the long polar day. Spring brings transformation. As the snow softens and the tundra darkens with moss and sedges, she claims her territory. The male arrives first, gliding low with deep, powerful wing beats. He bows and calls with a deep hoot. She responds with a hiss and then tests his resolve. He offers her gifts, fresh lemmings deposited at his feet, wings spread on display. Once paired, they remain monogamous for the season, sometimes for life. Together they choose a nesting site, a small rise in the tundra where the wind keeps the snow soft and the view wide. No branches or grass, just a small hole in the ground. It lays 8 eggs. Prey is plentiful. In lean years, the number is lower. Each egg is timed days apart. The chicks are born in a staggered procession. Incubation begins immediately. During blizzards and freezing gales, the female incubates the eggs. The male hunts tirelessly, releasing the lemmings with soft hoots. He defends his territory fiercely, dive-bombing foxes and even Arctic wolves. Their claws rake the air near the heads of intruders. Few dare to challenge him. After a month, the first chick emerges, blind and hairy, squealing for food. The mother tears the lemmings apart and feeds each chick in turn. The younger offspring struggle to compete, but in years of abundant prey, all can survive. Growth is rapid. At 3 weeks old, the chicks are covered in thick grey down. At 5 weeks old, they begin to wander away from the nest, stumbling across the tundra while their parents watch from the skies. Summer in the Arctic is a frenzy of life. Insects swarm, the flowers bloom, lemmings reproduce at a frantic pace. The chicks develop into young birds with soft feathers, bright yellow eyes, and short flights. Their parents teach them to hunt, guiding them toward lemming trails. By late August, the young are adept flyers and disperse across the tundra to claim their own home ranges. But the Arctic year passes quickly. As the autumn winds intensify, prey becomes scarce. When the lemming population declines, the snowy owl faces a choice. Some remain. Others undertake a journey south, a pilgrimage known as eruption. Driven by hunger, they spread to Canada, the northern United States, and even to Europe and the open countryside of Asia. In the Arctic spring, when lemmings proliferate again, the same female may return to her breeding grounds. The life cycle will begin once again, miles to the east. Another dawn creeps over a Siberian valley. A pale band of light borders the horizon. It stretches slowly across an endless desert. The fog drifts in lazy swirls between forests of black-barked spruce and pale birch. The air carries the resinous scent of conifers, sharp, cold, and the faint mineral scent of the distant mountains. To the north, a river meanders through a wide gravel bed. Cracks run like lightning under the transparent crust. The valley itself looks ancient. Here in this vast cathedral of cold and silence, the brown bear, Ursus arctos, wakes up. It has slept for 6 months of winter. With its muscles relaxed and its heart rate at a fraction of its summer rate, it has burned its fat reserves to survive the long cold. Now the May sun warms the forest. Hunger brings her out of the den. It makes its way through the melting snow. Its fur is a dense chocolate-colored coat, waterproof and warm. Beneath it lies a thick layer of fat, a last shield against late frosts. Its nose twitches. A bear's sense of smell is 7 times sharper than a bloodhound's. Miles away, he detects the musk of a thawing moose carcass in the valley below. Your day begins with searching. She turns over stones in search of beetle grubs, digs for buds, and tears open bark to lick the sap. Omnivorous and opportunistic, she feeds on whatever the season offers. She finds the carcass of the elk under a tangle of pines. With a low growl, she claims it, scaring away a wolverine that slinks away through the undergrowth. Huge shoulders, powerful jaws that crush bones. In the afternoon, the sun softens the snow. It wades into an icy stream, raking the bed in search of spawning grayling. Its claws, curved and thick like sickles, slice through the current. The fish lunge, but its attack is swift. It feeds, and then slowly swims upstream, sniffing every breeze for more of the scent of food. Summer brings abundance. The forest floor blooms with berries, blueberry, raspberry. She grazes for hours, her lips agile and her tongue blue with juice. Plants make up the majority of her diet. Yet she remains a predator. She sniffs out a young elk hiding in the reeds. She quickens her pace. A sudden charge, a swing of a paw as heavy as a sledgehammer, and the calf falls. One death sustains her for days. In midsummer, her coat thins, glossy and abundant. Salmon move inland from the Pacific. She travels to a wide river where the water churns with a silvery sheen. Bears from miles around converge, but she fishes alone. She waits in the rapids, her gaze fixed on the churning foam. When a salmon jumps, it catches the salmon in mid-air with a quick motion. Day after day, she gorges herself. The males roam freely at this time, attracted by the scent. In July, their paths cross. The courtship is brief. He dwarfs her, his shoulder as high as her back. They greet each other with a low murmur and then mate among the birch trees. For a few days they travel together, eating and resting. Then he moves on, leaving her alone once again. Inside, fertilized eggs wait. Delayed implantation keeps them in stasis until autumn, when her body determines if she's gained enough weight. If food is plentiful and her fat is thick, the embryos implant. If not, they simply dissolve. August fades away. The days are getting shorter. The berries ripen to their final sweetness. She eats without stopping, 30,000 calories a day. Its body swells. Beneath its fur, a thick layer of fat thickens, the energy reserved for the coming sleep. It scratches tree trunks to shed its old fur and sharpen its claws. In October, frost covers the valleys. It chooses a den on the hillside, the same one it has used for years. A hollow beneath wind-fallen roots covered with moss and leaves. Snow begins to fall as he huddles inside. His breathing slows. His heart rate drops to a few beats per minute. In this suspended state, he won't eat, drink, or urinate for half a year. The harsh winter blankets the forest. Outside, the wind howls over the frozen rivers. Inside the lair, a quieter drama unfolds. In January, while she sleeps, 2 tiny cubs are born, no bigger than a chipmunk, blind and almost hairless. They instinctively seek her nipples, drinking creamy milk. She barely moves, but her body provides constant warmth. Weeks go by. The pups develop thick fur and open their eyes in the dim light of the den. They crawl along her flanks, squealing softly. She cleans them with licks, her nose twitching with each sound. By March, they are strong enough to face the world. The spring sun returns. She wakes up, stretching her enormous limbs and blinking in the light. The cubs run after her, their eyes wide open and curious. Outside, the snow softens with the first thaw. She guides them toward the forest, teaching them with every step. She digs up roots, removes stones, and teaches them how to dig for grubs. They continue learning through play and hunger. Every day is a lesson. He rises with the grey dawn. He travels for miles in search of food. The pups waddle through the undergrowth, mimicking his movements. When a pack of wolves gets too close, he rears up, roaring loudly through the trees. The wolves melt again. During the summer, the puppies become more daring. They chase insects, splash through streams, and fight in berry fields. She remains vigilant. Male bears kill their unrelated cubs to restore the female's fertility. At the first scent of a stranger, she drives them into the wilderness where they stand guard until the danger passes. By their second autumn, the cubs are nearly full-grown. Each one weighs more than 100 kilos. She begins to distance herself, drawing them away so they can find their own territories. A swipe, a deep growl, and they know it's time. They'll go far, some as far as 100 miles, to stake out their territory. Your duty is done. It turns once more towards the berry slopes and salmon rivers.